Hello, ladies. It's Coach Steph. I am super duper excited about this topic, y'all, mostly because I know y'all are excited about it. So, I did a poll in the group, and of course, this topic, how to get a flat tummy, how to reduce your belly fat, was the number one topic. So, I'm excited to get into this because I know that this is always a hot topic. I already knew that y'all were going to pick this one as number one. So I have several tips for you guys and some questions that you'll need to ask yourself as we go along in this process to decide if that's what you really want. Okay. So y'all come on in. Let me know where you're from as you're hopping on. And then as I'm going along, y'all, it's so weird to talk to this computer. Um, Ask me questions. Like if there's something that I say that you don't understand, or if you have a question, just ask it in the chat. It makes it a little bit more enjoyable. I do have notes because I have several things that I want to cover today, and I want to make sure that I can get to all of them in a timely manner. So, hello, Susan from Dallas. I'm in Texas too. Hi, from Houston, Montoya. I love Houston. Oh, I lived in Houston several years ago. Loved it and didn't want to move. But I live in San Antonio area now. Um, I'm glad to have you all here. If you know someone who would benefit from this topic, y'all go ahead and tag them if they're in the group, and let them know that they need to be here because I'm about to get into all the good details. So I always love when I do these lives, and if you haven't seen any of my lives, you want to go to the events tab in the group and scroll down, look at the past events, look at the upcoming events. You can RSVP for the upcoming events, and then you can just take a look at the replays. Previous events, I've done lives on workouts, on meal prepping, on mindset, etc. And also, I've done some interviews, and I'm going to continue to do that in the lives, and they'll all be housed in the events tab. So don't forget that. So we're going to get right into it. So, flat tummy formula, right? So, here's kind of how I think about it. It's three key ingredients: doing some cardio, lifting weights, and eating clean, right? Three things, right? That's relatively simple, but not always easy. So I'm going to kind of break it down into what do I mean by cardio? What do I mean by weightlifting and kind of what that looks like? And then we're going to talk mostly about the nutrition part because obviously that's one of the most important parts. And that's also a part that a lot of people start to struggle with. So, I don't even think I really formally introduced myself. If you're new to me, my name is Stephanie. I am a dietitian. I am a weight loss coach. I'm a mindset coach. And I really, really help women work on the mindset piece. Because in this journey, if you're looking for sustainable weight loss, if you're looking to not just lose the same 15 pounds over and over and over again year after year, you really have to become someone who has a different habit, right? Someone who thinks differently about their journey. If you have the same old thoughts, you're going to get the same old results. And so if you're approaching your journey in the same way every time, you're going to get the same results. So I really talk mostly in my coaching practice about the mindset part. That's the part that people don't talk about, right? And so in this, I know y'all want to know what to eat and what workouts to do and all that, but we're also going to talk about your mindset and your approach a little bit too, okay? So let's get into this. So why is belly fat undesirable, right? So obviously, I know I see a lot of y'all's posts, and I know people want, a hot girl summer and they're trying to get cute, et cetera, et cetera. But I maybe it's because I'm getting older. I'm almost 40, and I think about what we call in the clinical realm visceral fat. It's the fat that's around your organs. That is the unhealthy fat that really puts you at risk for diabetes. It puts you at risk for heart disease and other medical conditions that really affect your quality of life, and sometimes are a matter of life and death, right? So this is more than just getting cute for the summer. I want to really stress that, especially if you're young and you're not really thinking about that yet. it's fine until you have a medical emergency or a scare, and then like, okay, now you have to get really serious because this is about your health, right? And so that's kind of why one of the reasons why I have a degree in nutrition is because I know how important it is, and this is what people struggle with the most. So let's talk about cardio. Okay, y'all let me know. Are y'all big fans of cardio? Because you might be surprised to know I am not. I love working out. I love lifting. I'm a lifter, right? I'll do cardio if I'm doing like sports because I still play basketball and I'll still do soccer. But to go out and run is not like my favorite. But cardio is really important part of losing that visceral fat, that fat that's around our abdominal area, right? So when you first start out your personal, like your fitness journey, you want to start at your own level, right? You want to not go from 0 to 100, right? You want to start at your level, but then you have to slowly increase the intensity, y'all. So it's cool to start out, like if you're walking, great. That's awesome. If that's what you can do right now, great. As you progress, let's say you lost 10 pounds, or let's say you lost 15 pounds, right? That, whatever you did to lose 10 or 15 pounds got you up to that point. And then sometimes we start to stall out, we see plateaus, and it's like, okay, well, what else do I do? Don't think that what you're doing up to this point is going to get you where you want to go. Okay? So every few weeks, I would say 4 weeks, every 6 weeks, every 8 weeks, you need to be increasing the level of intensity of your exercises. Oh, and there was a lot of chats that I missed. Okay, hi y'all. Sorry, I need to just scroll down. Okay, so you have to start increasing and cranking up the intensity of your cardio. Okay, so and what does that mean? It means increasing your heart rate, and it means pushing yourself to an uncomfortable level, right? So I don't want you to be pushing yourself. If you've just started and you haven't worked out in years, it's totally fine to be walking. Do that for weeks. Then start jogging, or then start, increasing the intensity of your exercise. But like, month after month, year after year, as you're on this journey, because this is a lifestyle, right? This is not just something that we're doing temporarily to get these abs. Increasing your intensity is really important, and really building up to, on a scale from 1 to 10, your intensity starts getting an 8, 9, to where your heart is pumping relatively quickly and you're out of breath, right? And so you can only go for short bursts of time. So that's kind of what you want to build up to, of short bursts of exercise. So for example, I always think of like, I don't know a sprinter who has flabby abs. Like, I don't know one. Like, not a real sprinter. Sprinters just don't have flabby abs, right? Because they are exerting a lot of energy in a short amount of time. And so a lot of times what I see people doing is like getting on the treadmill and just running for a long time. And that's fine. It's not that you can't see flat abs in that way. But if you want to get the most bang for your buck, if you're like me and you're not trying to like be on a treadmill for like an hour, getting in interval training, right? High intensity interval training is one of my favorite. Doing something like Tabata. So one of my favorite things to do to help you to increase your intensity, because sometimes if you're not in front of a trainer, you can kind of slack off a little bit, right? But using a timer can kind of help your mindset during the exercises. So for example, if you guys, let me see if I can show y'all. I have a Tabata timer. So I have an Android phone, and let's see if y'all can see that. You see that the orange one? It says interval timer, right? So I downloaded this interval timer, and you can set the intervals. So this is one of my favorite sets. I have 8 rounds. You work for 20 seconds. You rest for 10 seconds, right? So once you push start here, it'll say, it'll count down and it'll start for 20 seconds, right? And you can do any exercise, like say you did burpees, or say you did sprints, or some maybe even like squat jumps, or any exercise, right? You can start out with any exercise just to try it out. But you work for 20 seconds. Go as hard as you can for those 20 seconds. Then it's going to tell you to rest. You're going to rest. You're going to do nothing for 10 seconds. Then it's going to tell you to go again for 20 seconds. So it's going to toggle back and forth like that for 8 rounds. That's a 4-minute workout, y'all. It is fire. You understand? It's fire. And so I'm just showing you that because you don't have to do that, but that is just a way that you can increase intensity, and by using a timer. Okay. So another way I like to use a timer is to try to beat myself, right? So you can do this in multiple ways. One, you can take a certain amount of time. Maybe you say 1 minute and you do an exercise, right? And maybe you rest, and then you do that same time again, and you try to at least meet or exceed those previous reps. Or maybe you can run during that time, and you're trying to get just as far as you did the first time within that time span. Does that make sense? I'm just trying to give y'all different ideas of how you can increase your intensity by using timers. It's a little hack that kind of helps you to increase the intensity. Let me go back and look at these comments because I've been missing them. What cardio do you suggest for people who can't run into old injuries, shin splints? Have you ever heard of bear crawls? Bear crawls are one of my favorite. It's literally like you're crawling like a baby, right? And you can go up and then back, up and then back. It's very low impact, but it's an absolute full body workout. So that Tabata thing that I was just mentioning just now, you can do that, and like up and back, crawl up and back. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just YouTube bear crawl, you'll see it. Very simple to do. It's not going to hurt your knees or anything, but it's definitely a full body workout and is pretty intense. If you can talk while walking, it's not intense enough. Yes, exactly. So I know people who will they'll walk and they'll be walking for just miles and miles, and it's great. Especially if you enjoy that, it's great. But you got to increase the intensity. If you're able to talk on the phone, you're really not getting your heart rate up enough, right? You have to walk like hours and hours to really see the benefit. I've been using Mr. and Mrs. Muscle HIIT twice a week and run, but I'm struggling with stomach fat. Any suggestions? So I'm going to be talking about the food in a little bit. So stay tuned for that. I started trap cardio, and wow, it's fire. That sounds fun. I love it. Okay, so those are a few ways that you can try to increase the intensity of your cardio sessions. Okay. So the second part that I mentioned was lifting weights. I'm a huge fan of women lifting weights. Why is this? Number one, we all know, well, I think we all know that when you have muscle is active tissue and burns more calories at rest than any other tissue, right? So when you have more muscle mass, your metabolism is actually faster. Why? Because muscle is active tissue. So when it comes to lifting weights, you really want to do full body workouts. Now you can do this in a variety of ways. You can do splits where you're just doing like, y'all might hear my son, where you're doing arms one day, legs another day, back and buys the next day. But what I really encourage you to do, if you're doing splits, you need to go to the gym a little bit more often. To me, I like programming full body weightlifting workouts 3 to 4 times a week. That way you're getting that muscle group a couple of times at least during the week. So that's just my personal preference, but either will work. So you want to be lifting and you want to be progressively increasing your load, right? So that could mean increasing your weights. It could mean increasing your reps, increasing your intensity, or just changing the programming to where it's increasingly more challenging, right? So I know for sure I've seen several people, when I used to go to the gym, like I see them year after year and they look exactly the same. And I'm like, how is it that you are like, you look the same? But I think it's because number one, people don't eat right. Number two, making sure that you change it up a little bit, that you're challenging yourself. If you know how to do Zumba, like I love Zumba. I love a good Zumba workout, right? But if you're doing Zumba and you've gotten to a point where that's not giving you the results that you want, you got to change it up. So you can still do Zumba, but I know they have like different Zumbas where you can do the ones with weights and stuff like that. Like you have to change and challenge your body. So when you're lifting weights, you just want to be progressively increasing the intensity. Again, you can do that by increasing the weights, increasing the reps, or somehow increasing or changing the programming. Okay. So with weightlifting, the consistency is the most important thing. It does you no good, because sometimes I'll be doing this. Like I won't work out for a while and I go back in the gym and I like try to get it all back in that same day. Right? It doesn't work like that. Right? So you gotta keep showing up for yourself. Right? And that's a mindset in and of itself. You gotta keep showing up for yourself. So I really like putting myself in structured relationships where like I have a class to go to and people are counting on me to be there, or getting a trainer, or I feel like if you have an accountability partner, it works out a little bit better for you to be more consistent. But that is the most important thing. So you do want to have a mix of cardio and weightlifting, right? And so if you're doing both in the same day, I recommend doing your lifting before you do your cardio. Okay. Typically the way I program for my clients is I do circuits. So they're getting some cardio in and they're getting weights in at the same time. So what a circuit is basically you're going from one exercise to the next, to the next, to the next with little to no rest. And then you repeat those series of exercises again, so that I might be working upper body, then I might go straight to lower body, then I might do straight to core, and then repeat that. Okay, so my heart rate is increasing, I'm lifting and I'm challenging my muscles, right? And so you're getting a more effective workout. Okay. I need some proper guidance. Uh-oh. Let me charge my phone. Charge my thing here, y'all. Hold on. Before my computer dies. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Where is the... Okay, we're back. My bad. I just want to make sure my computer wasn't going to die. Okay, so where was I? Okay, so you want to do weightlifting and you want to start increasing the intensity. You want to do cardio. You want to start increasing the intensity. For most people, that's not simple, but it's not the hard part, right? The hard part is the food. The hard part is what you're putting in your mouth most of the time. Okay, so that's what we're going to spend the majority of the time talking about. Let me see if y'all have any questions real quick before I keep going. Oh, are there any weightlifting apps that you recommend? I find myself doing the same workout each time. So here's the thing about that. I understand you want variety, and variety is important, right? But it's also not a bad thing that you're doing the same thing over time, because we call it repetition for a reason. So the thing about weightlifting is all about your repetitions. That's why I said earlier that it's the consistency is the most important part. So I know when I program, I do 4 workouts for the week and I have my clients do them for 4 weeks. Why? Because repetition is important, because I want to see how well you performed that week 1 and then how well you performed that week 4. And so you're actually giving your muscles a chance to get used to the exercise. Like I want them to get used to the exercise for a while, and then I change it and I increase the intensity somehow, right? So that's not a bad thing, but I do know, you get bored. There's a ton of apps. Like if y'all have any recommendations, I make my own workout, so I don't really use a lot of the weightlifting apps. But if anybody watching has any recommendations for apps for Amy, put it in the chat. Like, what apps are y'all using for weightlifting? Help us to stay out. All right. Okay, so let's talk about clean eating. Okay. Number 1, y'all need a pencil and a piece of paper. Okay. Are you eating in a calorie deficit? If you want to lose fat, if you need fat to lose, are you eating in a calorie deficit? That means, are you tracking your food? Are you eating less calories than what your body needs to maintain your current weight, right? So if you need to lose fat, right, in order to see your muscle definition, or in order to get into a healthy weight range, you have to eat at a calorie deficit in order to lose fat, period, right? So how are you tracking your food? Are you using MyFitnessPal, right? I start my clients off with simply taking a photo of their food, being more aware of what they're eating. That's mindset, right? Just being more mindful of what you're putting in your mouth. You can count food groups, right? You can count macros, but however, whatever tool you're using, the tool really doesn't matter, you guys. It's your approach to the tool that matters the most. So, are you eating in a calorie deficit? Number 1, right? Number 2, increasing your fiber. So let's talk about that for a second. Hold on, I got a couple questions here. So how many different workouts do you recommend per session? I program 4 a week. Is that what you mean, Maya? How many different workouts do you recommend per session? Do you mean exercises? How many exercises do I recommend per session? It really just depends on the individual, what their goals are, and where they're at. At the beginning, if I have a client that is new to fitness, my goal is just to get them start being active. Doesn't matter what you do, right? I make the workouts very simple, because all I want you to do is do them. Like, I don't want the intensity to be a barrier for you to do them. So if you're watching and you're beginning and you're like trying to go and do like Insanity 3 or something, it's like, no, just start where you are and just be consistent with something super simple. And that is enough for the first few weeks, and then start increasing intensity. I use Noom, but I still struggle. It's like I hit a wall. Yeah, I've heard good things about Noom. And I've heard, I don't know, I think I've heard like one person that didn't like it. But with anything, especially if, I'm not sure if you get a coach with Noom or not, but you have to have someone looking at your specific situation, right? So an app can only do so much, but you might get a coach with Noom. I don't even remember. But I've heard good things. Yes, exercise. Okay, yes. So this is what I kind of do. I do dynamic stretching, and I actually have a whole video. If you look, Maya, in the events tab and go to past lives that I've done and scroll down, I have a whole live where I break down how I make my workouts. So I start out with dynamic stretching. Then I do a little mini warm up just to get you. So that's probably like 4 dynamic stretches, 2 to 3 exercises for a warm up, and then I did my core workout, which is probably between 4 to 8 different exercises depending on the level of the client. And then I may have a finisher or burner, just depending, and then some stretching. But I always create my workout first, and then I do my stretching, because whatever my workout is, I want to make sure that we stretch and warm up those particular muscles. So I program the body of my workout first, and then the stretching part. Do you offer an online coaching program? I do, Amy. I do. I have a one-on-one coaching program. So if you're interested in that, let me know. How do you approach sugar cravings? I have sugar addiction. So, sugar cravings, the thing is this. If, number one, you got to do a detox of your house. Okay. So that's kind of where I start off. I'll say, okay, we're detoxing, and I don't expect like perfection, right? So if you are really addicted to sugar, we start off by how can we delay this craving? Right? And I help my clients build a whole emotional eating strategy plan, a craving strategy plan. So you know what to do when you feel this. You understand your triggers for, your craving. And we build a plan how to help you navigate around this. And then how to like plan in your treat and how to help you be in control of when you have it. Because it's not about not having it. It's about you being in control of when you have it. And so again, the mindset part, right? I always go back to that. It's like the mentality that you have about the thing, right? So that's always the most important thing. So I use extreme hip hop, and Phil, I love him, is a writer. Okay, so there you go. Whoever asked that question earlier, those are a few apps, I think, for you. Okay. So let me find out where I was at. Okay, so we're talking about increasing fiber. So y'all, I could get into a whole spiel about like soluble fiber versus insoluble fiber, but it doesn't even matter. Like don't worry about that. If you are eating fiber, and most people only get half of the fiber that they need. Why? Because we don't eat enough vegetables. Okay? We're not eating enough vegetables, so we're not getting enough fiber. So individuals who get enough fiber are less likely to accumulate fat around their stomach. Okay, so what does that mean? That looks like eating whole grains. It looks like eating flax seeds, avocado, legumes, Brussels sprouts, fruits, vegetables, nuts, whole grains, right? So what does this look like on your plate? You want to aim for at least one serving of a fiber-rich food per meal. So those are all the things that I named earlier. Fruits, veggies, nuts, whole grains, at least one serving, right? Serving is for fruits and vegetables, it's about the size of your fist. Okay. But you want to have at least one serving of fiber-filled or fiber-rich food for each meal. Okay. So again, you want to increase your fiber. How do you do that? You eat fruits, veggies, nuts, and whole grains more often. You have at least one of those on your plate every time you sit down. What I really encourage my clients to do is, instead of thinking about, what does my taste buds want to eat? Like, you need to think that, but then you also need to look at your plate in terms of food groups, and you need to see a protein. You need to see a fiber-filled carb. You need to see a veggie, right? You need to see those things on your plate and start looking at your plate in that regard, as far as like the nutrients that your plate is going to give you, because it's fuel. Okay. Any questions about that? Let me go back to the chat real quick. So what's a good detoxing without taking pills? So I'm not in detoxing. You know what I say detoxing is? Detoxing is getting rid of negative mindsets, limiting beliefs that you have around your fitness journey. Detoxing is getting the, food that does not serve you, all the tempting, sugary things that you have in your house, out of your house, right? That's what detoxing is to me. Our liver, our kidneys, they do a great job of making sure that we eliminate toxins and eliminate things that we don't need in our body out of our body. Like if you have an issue with your kidneys, right? If your kidneys aren't working well, you're going to be on dialysis. And dialysis is going to take that, you have to go like 3 times a week and get your blood filtered, so that can take out the urea and all the other things that are in our body that build up in our body. But I really don't believe in detoxing teas or all that. And I don't know. I know that's a big thing, and somebody's gonna be mad, and I know, I'm sorry. But if you're eating clean, think about this, okay? Think about this. If you're eating fiber rich foods, you're eating vegetables, you're eating fruits, whole grains, does your body really need to be detoxing? I mean, I know that like we have environmental stuff, but we can't really control that, right? It's like we need to be make what's going to make the most impact. What's going to make the most impact is you eating right and exercising, right? So that is kind of my philosophy on that. Um, so fiber supplement, okay, yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all. Fiber supplement, and I'm going to get to something else that you should be taking with your fiber too. So stay tuned for that. Interested in a meal planner if you do that. Do you mean if I provide a meal plan? What I do is I help my clients learn how to build their own meal plan. And so it's kind of like instead of giving you a fish, I teach you how to fish so that that's a skill that you have for life. Let's see. What fiber supplement would you recommend? I just take I don't take anything fancy. I just take the regular, I know it's psyllium fiber, but it's the little tablets. I can't think of the name. I'll look it up. I'll look and see what I have in there, but I know it's psyllium fiber and it's like 2 or 3 grams worth of fiber. But you know what I also do for fiber? Chia seeds. Like you could just sprinkle some chia seeds like in your smoothie or on a salad or something like that. You can hardly taste them. They have lots of fiber. They have protein. And so that you don't need a supplement, you can actually take a whole food. Torturous colon and nothing is helping. I would say, Susan, do you have a physician that you're seeing for that? Because I have a, is that torturous colon and nothing is helping? I would say talk to the doctor. I can't really, I'm not a doctor anyway, and I don't diagnose anything. But if you're having trouble with your colon, I'm actually going to talk about that in a second. What would a green smoothie or two you should cover my fiber for the day? It really just depends on your serving size. I want y'all to be real careful with these smoothies too, because you can put smoothies together. You can put like the spinach or kale or whatever green you're using, and then fruits. If you're using fruit juice, I love smoothies. Just be careful of the portion size because they can be pretty caloric, right? And very full of sugar, even though it's natural sugar. There's nothing wrong with eating fruit, y'all. But always put some sort of fat or protein. So I always put either Greek yogurt or like a fourth of an avocado, which might sound a little nasty, but it's really good. It does not change the taste. It changes the texture a little bit, makes it a little bit more creamy, and it adds some healthy fat. You can add the chia seeds, add you can add like milled flaxseed to your smoothies so that it's not just like a whole bunch of fruit. Because I know when I do smoothies, maybe this is just me, but I do a whole lot of fruit. And especially if you're using fruit juice, it can be a calorie bomb. And you want to, make sure you reduce the portions and put some protein or fat in there. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. I will get some. No problem, Isis. Okay. All right. So let me go back to what I was saying. Okay. So we got calorie deficit. Are you eating enough fiber? Third, decrease your trans fat. So trans fat is a bad fat that has been linked to inflammation, heart disease, insulin resistance, and abdominal fat gain. So what I want y'all to do, I don't even have see, I got some almonds right here. When you go to the store, flip over your items that you're getting. Number one, you should be getting items that don't have a label, like fruits and vegetables, right? But if you're getting things like almonds or whatever else you're getting, turn it over and look at how much trans fat it has in there. Okay. You want to compare brands. So let's say I'm buying, I don't know, some item at the grocery store. And I want to compare two brands that I like and I'm going to eat and look at, okay, how much fat does this have in it? How much protein does it have? How much added sugar? Compare and buy the one that has a better nutrient profile, right? So it's not sometimes about like not eating the things that you like. It's just about comparing brands. And so trans fat increases in your inflammation, and it also can increase your insulin resistance. And so I can go through a whole thing about insulin resistance, but especially for people who are diabetic, somewhere in the group, if y'all search diabetes, I have 1 hour, so there are 2 hours worth of instruction on diabetes. And it's pretty in depth, so if y'all are having problems with that, definitely check that out. So you just want to make sure that the foods that you're buying don't have trans fat. Now, here's the caveat to that. They don't have to label the trans fat unless it's more than like 0.5 per serving. So what they do, they decrease the serving size in order for it to be underneath the 0.5 per serving, knowing full well that that's not a serving that people typically eat. So in addition to looking at the trans fat on the label, you also want to look and see if there's any hydrogenated anything. Hydrogenated fat is trans fat, and you want to look at that in the ingredients list. Again, I can go on and on, but I don't want to belabor the point. If y'all have questions, let me know. So yes, decreased trans fat. So trans fat is mostly in prepackaged foods, your unhealthy snack foods, your fast foods. So again, you just want to turn over your food. You want to look at the label and make sure that you're eating mostly, like most of your food should be one ingredient, whole foods that don't necessarily have any trans fat. What types of foods have trans fat in them? Yep. Pandora, I just answered that question. Thank you. What is slow burning? What is slow calorie strength burning? I'm not sure if I understand your question, Gail. Hold on. What is slow calorie strength burning training? I'm not sure what your question is, Gail. If you want to re-ask it, let me know. Maybe I'm just not understanding. All right. So we've talked about whether or not you're in a calorie deficit, having enough fiber, decreasing your trans fat, limiting your alcohol is number 4, y'all. So if you are that person, and let me tell you, with my clients, a lot of them struggle with the weekends. Some of y'all would have these abs if it wasn't for the weekends, okay? Because when you're out and you're drinking, you know, you may have a little bit too much, or you may have only like maybe what you would call a few drinks, but they were so full of sugar, right? And so I know it's tough. It's like, do you want abs or do you want to live your best life on the weekends? You know, so you have to make that decision. Like, is it that important to you to have a flat tummy or to have the abs? Like, and how flat are we talking, right? Are we talking about just like, you know, you don't have a pooch anymore? Or are we talking about, oh no, I want like the ripple effect? That's up to you. It's the consistency. Like, are you willing to put in the work? Are you willing to show up for yourself that much, right? Are you willing to say no to, you know, fun weekends and just like mindlessly eating on the weekends? Are you that invested, right? So you have to decide that. So excessive alcohol can be associated with increased body fat, and especially the drinks that have a lot of sugar in them are more problematic. So you just want to limit alcohol, drink it in moderation. It's not like you can't have a drink, you can't have fun, but you do want to limit your alcohol consumption. So you have to know what season you're in, right? Know what season you're in. If you're in a season where you're like, hey, I have goals, like I have health goals and I need to, you know, drop weight or I need to get healthy, then you have to be a little bit more strict with yourself, you know? And so it's never about total restriction, and it's never about being totally loosey-goosey either, because even when you get to your scale weight that you want to be at or get the abs, there's still going to be some level of boundaries you're going to have to maintain. And again, that's mindset. Like, you knowing your value, you knowing what's important to you, and you setting boundaries around those things is really, really important. I'm this close to just you worth it. Okay, I'm just checking to see if there's any questions. Thank you, Marilyn. Sorry, gym machines. Should I do reps fast or slow? I love that question, Gail. Really, you should be. There's different techniques, but I tend to just say 2 and 2. So that means, like if I'm doing a bicep curl, 1, 2, 1, 2, right? So you shouldn't be going fast. And sometimes I see people, they're lifting and they're going really fast and they're lifting, but there's something called time under tension, right? So it's important. It's actually better that you go slow when you're lifting weights. So yeah, hope that answers your question, Gail. So we've talked about eating in a calorie deficit, increasing your fiber, decreasing your trans fat, right? Limiting your alcohol. 5 is eating protein, right? You want to eat protein at each meal. I always have my clients eat a serving of protein at each meal and snack. Okay, keep it real simple. That looks like fish, turkey, chicken. If you're not a meat eater, you can eat tofu, beans, nuts, etc. You always want to have some sort of protein. Protein is the most important macronutrient, you guys. As well as being below your calorie level, you want to make sure you get enough protein. Okay, so number 6 is reducing your stress. So if you have not seen the interview with myself and Miss Tracy, I interviewed a therapist talking about stress. I'm like, how can we reduce our stress? Why? Because stress can add to your belly fat, right? It triggers our adrenal glands and it produces the hormone cortisol, which is the stress hormone. And so cortisol levels, high cortisol levels, are highly associated with abdominal fat storage, right? It increases your appetite. And so if you're constantly stressed out or avoiding your feelings or in uncomfortable situations, check out the interview that I did with Tracy, because she gave us some great tips on how we can manage our stress. So women who already have a large waist tend to produce more cortisol in response to stress, y'all. Okay, so if you're already struggling, you don't want to be, in a stressful, chronically stressed situation, because you're going to be producing even more cortisol, right? Which is going to just exacerbate your issue. So, so you want to reduce your stress, right? And we want to have a plan for self-care. I can't tell you how many people, how many women I've talked to, and I'm like, well, what do you do for self-care? Like, how do you make yourself happy? What's something that you do on a regular basis to make you happy? And they say nothing. They can't think of anything. And I'm like, that is so important. Like, prioritize that. If you get nothing out of this, y'all should be doing something that makes you happy. Okay. Okay. Let me finish this point and I'll look at the chat real quick. So reducing your stress. You want to have a plan for taking care of yourself and just doing something that makes you happy. It don't matter, it could be a nap, it could be getting your nails painted, it could be whatever it is, but time alone. I know I'm a Virgo and I need my time alone, y'all. That's how I recharge. So plan it in, put it on your calendar. What's the one thing simply that you can do, is not too expensive, that you can do that make you happy? And that's one of the things that I work on with my clients, is making sure that they have it in their schedule. We are planning something that makes you happy, period, right? And so you want to look at your stressors, you want to write them down. All of this part is in the live that I did with Tracy. And see what stressors you can manage and what stressors you can get rid of. And really be diplomatic with it. Like, really write it down and say, okay, this is what's stressing me out. Like, this is how I feel right now. How can I get rid of some of this? How can I delegate some of this? And how can I manage the things that I can't really get rid of? All right. And then you want to reduce your sugar, right? Reducing your sugar intake. So trading out those complex carbs. And so what I try to also talk about with my clients is like think about and focus your energy on abundance, on what you can have, right? So if you're focusing on getting in your vegetables, right? If you're focused on getting in that fiber, getting in that lean protein, getting in your water, you're focused on that, and you make sure that's a priority, like you don't even have time for that other stuff, right? All the sugary snacks and other stuff, you won't even be hungry for that. You won't have time to plan that in. Like you'll be focused on abundance and what you can have, because there's so many things that you can have, you guys. It's not just about focusing on the restriction and on the things that don't serve your goals. So you want to focus on your complex carbohydrates and avoid drinking a lot of sugar. So all these sugary drinks, I highly recommend that if you're in a season where you're trying to lose fat, you're not drinking your calories. That's soda, punch, sweet tea, alcohol with a whole bunch of like sugar and mixed stuff in it. Fruit juice, you can have fruit juice, but it just understand it does have calories. I would rather eat my calories, right? If I'm the type of person and I'm hungry all the time and I'm like, oh, I need to eat, I like to eat, I would rather eat my calories than drink my calories, because you can drink a whole lot of calories really quickly and still not feel full, right? And so you want to try to reduce. If you need sugar, obviously you can, add your honey, add your agave, but it's still sugar, y'all. It still spikes your blood sugars, which activates your insulin, and the insulin is storing fat. So just be mindful of that and try to reduce your sugar intake. All right, I have two more. I have two more tips because I know this is a lot. Let me go to the chat really quickly. I think we skipped 5. I think I just didn't say 5, Amy. Let me recap. Okay, so we got eating in a calorie deficit, increasing your fiber, decreasing your trans fat, limiting your alcohol, eating high protein, that was number 5. Reducing your stress is number 6. Reducing sugary foods is number 7. Okay, and now we're going on to number 8, which is sleep. So studies show that people who do not get enough sleep, and that's usually around 7 hours a night, tend to gain more weight, which includes belly fat. So if you're not sleeping, your lack of sleep is causing hormones that make you more hungry. And if you think about it, whenever you don't get enough sleep, you tend to be really stressed out. I used to train and sub for Camp Gladiator, which is an outdoor fitness company, and I had to get up at 3:30 in the morning to go train 3 times a week. And so I did it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And by Friday, I was a mess, y'all. I was crying because I'm not a morning person. And I mean, your body goes through so much when you're not getting enough sleep. So it does cause you to gain weight. Okay, so that was pretty straightforward. Our last tip. I'm not trying to have this go almost an hour, y'all. Okay, the last one is probiotics. So this one is a pretty cool one. Let me check the chat really quickly. Are you referring to HIIT? That's where you do high intensity energy. I must have missed some stuff, y'all. I'm gonna go back through here and answer some of the questions that I might have missed on here. How many meals a day do you recommend? It depends on you. It depends on how many times you get hungry, right? So I usually always recommend to eat, 3 to 4 hours a day, but like some people stay up a really long time. Like if you have to get up really early in the morning and then you go to sleep really late at night, you'll probably have more meals throughout the day than somebody who maybe wakes up at 9 and gets to go to bed at like 9 or 10. They're up for less hours. But typically it's like 3 meals and like 2 snacks. But all of that needs to be in a calorie deficit if you're trying to lose fat. I need that high stress level. Yep. Hi, Tracy. Jodeci, how do I get my elasticity in my skin? So that's not really my area of expertise. I'm not gonna lie, but from what I know is this. a couple of things you can do to help yourself out. Number one, don't lose weight too fast. Like I see y'all in the group and I see y'all be trying to lose weight all fast. I see people who are like fasting for 3 days at a time every week. If you drop weight really fast, and this also it depends on your genetics as well, like the elasticity in your skin. But if you lose weight really fast, number one, you're losing muscle too, which is decreasing your metabolic rate, your metabolism overall. So fast weight loss really, unless it's like a medical emergency or something, y'all, it's really not the best way to go. So, you may have loose skin, you're decreasing your metabolic rate, which is going to cause you to need even less calories, and then you can't maintain. It's just like a whole thing. But lose weight slower for the skin. And then, if you have already like have a lot of loose skin, there's nothing short of surgery that I know of that actually works to, helping with loose skin. So, but definitely talk to a surgeon or a dermatologist, or I don't know who deals with that. I don't know what specialty. It's clearly not mine. I'm a dietitian. I don't know about elasticity in skin as much, but I know that one way to reduce that is to lose weight more slowly so that it's more sustainable. So my last point, probiotics. Okay, so bacteria that are found in some foods and supplements can actually help you and help your belly fat, right? So that's another supplement. I'm not really big into a lot of supplements, but a few supplements that I do like. Fiber, somebody mentioned that earlier, right? And it doesn't matter much like which one, like which fiber supplement. Someone asked me like the brand. But you can eat well enough to get enough fiber. You can take a supplement. You can take a probiotic supplement, right? You can take a fish oil supplement and a multivitamin. And I think those are the main four that I would ever recommend for somebody. Oh, and vitamin D, y'all. We Black women, and a lot of us have a vitamin D deficiency, especially now because a lot of us are inside. So 5, I would say now. Obviously, that's just a general rule, but those are the 5 I kind of recommend. So probiotics have many health benefits, including helping to improve your gut health and enhance your immune function. So there are certain types of bacteria that actually play a role in weight regulation. Okay, so there's a lot of different kinds of probiotics. I wouldn't get all into like the scientific names or whatever, but the bacteria in the lactobacillus family, right? So if you look again, the back of your items that have probiotics, you want to just see some lactobacillus, and there's different strains of that, but I wouldn't get into all that. Just have some foods that have bacteria in the lactobacillus family. Okay, so probiotic supplements, you can buy them at the store. I mean, you can eat them in food, right? So that includes like yogurt, kimchi, sauerkraut, kefir, tempeh. You can drink kombucha, which I love kombucha. But that actually can help with belly fat. Okay. Now, I wouldn't like rely on that. Like all the other tips that I gave, especially eating in a calorie deficit, reducing your sugar, all those are going to be more impactful, but definitely, it's easy to get in your probiotics if you're really intentional about it. Let me check the chat and see if there's anything I missed. I'm like super thirsty, y'all. Okay, Montoya, you said reduce sugary foods. What about fruits and the natural sugars? Y'all, even if you're a diabetic, you can eat sugar. Here's a difference, okay, between the sugar that's found in fruit and like added sugar. A lot of stuff that has added sugar doesn't have fiber in it either. So if you eat an apple, right, you're getting fiber. Fiber doesn't get into our body, right? Fiber, actually, we poop it out, right? So there's soluble and there's insoluble fiber. The soluble fiber turns into a gel inside of our gut, and it is responsible for binding up like cholesterol whenever we eat. There's like a lot of processes. We have bile that goes into our intestines, and then soluble fiber will help to bind that, and we eliminate it through going to the bathroom, right? And so one thing you want to always do when you have fruit, it's okay to have fruit. Have some protein too. Okay? Every meal, every snack, you want to have some protein. Okay? So when you balance it out like that, yes, when you have fruit, and fruit, yes, does have natural sugar, make sure you're eating some protein with that. Okay? Make sure you're eating some protein or some healthy fat with that so that it doesn't spike your blood sugars as much. But again, that also has fiber. So if you're eating something that has added sugar, it probably doesn't have a lot of fiber, right? But with fruit, it doesn't have that problem. So I hate it when I see people like advertise like don't eat fruit. Like, you know how many benefits fruit has as far as like cancer prevention and like all the things we focus on weight loss, but there's a lot of other stuff that can go wrong with our health, right? So we don't want to eliminate foods that are like nutrient dense, in just because it has natural sugar in it. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Thank you, Tracy. You over here answering questions. I appreciate you. Let's see. You said, let me just check the chat real quick. Pescatarian diet. So, is it okay to eat 7+ servings of salmon, shrimp a week? I don't see anything wrong with it. I mean, if you're pescatarian, that's all we eating, right? We just eating fish. So, yeah, I mean, I know when I was in school that we used to be like, oh, well, shrimp has a lot of cholesterol. But I think what they're finding now is that I know like eggs. They used to tell us like don't eat eggs because of the cholesterol. And so I think the school of thought is changing on that a little bit, but I definitely think eating salmon's like one of my favorite things to eat. Has healthy fat, and there's nothing wrong with eating that. Yeah. Can you repeat them? Tracy got that for me. Do you recommend yogurt? Yes. I vomit after water? What? Oh, wow. And what are you drinking? Is your name Numi? What are you drinking, Numi? Water is my favorite thing. Like, it's either water or margaritas, one or the other, okay? And I don't drink a lot, and I drink a lot of water. Like, I love water, y'all. She answered that after I retyped it. Slow versus fast. Did you mention water intake? I don't think I mentioned it in passing, but I didn't have it on the slide. But yes, you want to drink half of your body weight in water. Like, so if you weigh 200 pounds, your goal, it's a little bit high, I ain't gonna lie. It's a little bit high, but it's a good goal to shoot for. If you weigh 200 pounds, you want to drink, or your goal is 100 ounces in water. So it's really easy. Just take your weight in pounds, cut it in half, and that's your goal for water. So normally, like, these are 16.9 ounce bottles of water. And so typically people need between like 5 and 6 or 7 of these, right? When I do my calculations for my clients, like, most of them need about 6-ish of these. Okay. So what I'm working on, need protein. How do I get back my elasticity in my skin? Okay, I got those. Okay, any other questions, you guys? Because let me see if there's anything else that I have on my... Okay, so yes, recap. So cardio, weights, and clean eating. And y'all, you see I spent most of the time on clean eating. Consistency is key. So you always want to make sure that you're also addressing your mindset. I think I have a live that I did in the past. You want to check out the events tab on mindset and limiting beliefs that are messing up your results. This whole thing of like starting over on Monday, or starting and stopping, or feeling like you're failing, or not being patient enough. Like, there's all kinds of things that have nothing to do with nutrition and fitness that are blocking you from your results. Okay, so you can have the best tools, You can have the best knowledge, right? But if you're still approaching the tool, the best knowledge with toxic beliefs and self sabotaging behaviors, you're going to get the same result that you've always gotten, right? So you have to change your mindset, okay? Do I believe in my PCP doesn't acknowledge it? I'm sure I suffer from it and have to take caprylic acid daily. I've heard of leaky gut syndrome. I don't know much about it. Honestly, if you're talking to a primary care physician, this is what I recommend. Because most physicians, and this is, I've been told this by physicians, they don't have any nutrition classes. Unless they opt to take them, they don't have any nutrition classes, which is why they have people like me, clinical dietitians. I worked in the hospital for years. I thought that's where I wanted to work, but I prefer doing weight loss and mindset coaching. But find a registered dietitian. Find a gastroenterologist who specializes in the gut. That's why they have specialties. So primary care physician, has a general practice, but you really want to go into those specialty. Get a referral if you need a referral from your insurance to get someone who specializes in the gut to get help with that, and then find a dietitian that specializes in that. And I don't, right? I am an RD, but I don't specialize in gut health. So I would definitely reach out to someone in that. So if you feel like something's going on, and this is so important, and it actually breaks my heart a little bit, because as Black women, sometimes we don't get the best care. And if you are feeling something in your body and your primary care physician isn't listening to you, you need to fire him and find you a new doctor that's going to listen to you, because we don't get treated fairly. And I don't think I realized that for the longest time, and then I just realized that not so long ago, and I was heartbroken. I could cry. But anyway, all right, tea. Okay, so Numi, you drink tea. Okay, so you're getting some water in there. Yes, all the time. How do you feel about salmon versus wild salmon? I feel like the wild salmon, people say that it's healthier. I feel like it's a personal preference. Like if you feel like you're concerned about what the farm raised is eating, you can splurge, and it might cost a little bit more, but if that's something that's important to you, then I definitely go for the wild. I love white water too. Me too, Isis. What are your thoughts on water? Should it be ice cold? I think it should be whatever you are going to drink. Like, I will not drink room temperature water. Like, I'm not drinking room temperature water. I like my water as ice cold as it can get. That's because that's what I'm going to drink. Some people don't like ice cold water. So I just think that you should drink it whatever temperature you're going to drink it. And yeah, keep it real simple. How many days a week should you work out minimum to see results? And is losing 10 pounds a month too much? So I'll answer your first question. How many days a week should you work out minimum? Minimum is 3. And so say you got to a certain level, you got to your fitness level. Technically, textbook, twice a week you can maintain most of your gains, but I would just go ahead and do the 3rd week. I always program 4, and I do that for a couple of reasons. One, because sometimes you're not gonna get in that 4th one, and at least I got you to do 3. But I do think that 3, because we should be active every day, y'all. So it's not just about your working out, and I don't want y'all to miss this either. Yes, you can work out great for an hour, but you have 23 more hours to be active. So it's important. Yes, I say 4 times a week you want to work out, and then you want to walk daily, or make sure you're moving daily throughout the day. And is losing 10 pounds in a month too much? It depends on the person. So if you have a lot of weight to lose, 10 pounds in a month might not be that much. It's healthy. It's 2 pounds. Is that 2 pounds? 2, 4, 6, 8. It's a little bit more, but I feel like when you first start, if you're a beginner, you're gonna lose weight faster, typically, because you haven't been doing anything, or maybe you've been eating really bad, and then you make this shift, and then you can see results really quickly. And if you have a lot more weight to lose, then you can, typically drop weight faster in the beginning. So it just depends. Do you see clients virtually? I do. Yeah, I mostly see clients virtually, especially now. But I miss in-person training. But yes, I do online training. Last question: does ACV in your water or tea help reduce? I have read research that it does. Again, I would not rely on that, right? So I don't see anything wrong with taking it, because it does help with like insulin and things like that. But I wouldn't rely on that, right? The biggest things are going to be like, what are you eating on a daily basis? Are you moving? Are you eating too much sugar? Are you, eating enough fruits, vegetables, getting that fiber in? Like those are going to be the things that are going to make the most impact in your journey. And then if you wanted to supplement with something like that, I don't see anything wrong with it. Just make sure you dilute it. I was trying it because I be trying stuff that y'all like to try. And I was doing it for a while, and my throat, oh my God. I thought I had diluted it enough, but apparently not, because my throat was on fire after a while. But yeah, I've seen research that said, yes, it does. But again, don't rely on that. Do the other things, and then you can do that as well. Suffer from bone to bone on knee, which makes it hard to walk as an exercise. I don't know if you heard earlier, Kimberly. I was talking about bear crawls. Some people can't do bear crawls either, and I understand that. But there are like lower impact exercises that you can do. I would highly recommend just like getting on YouTube and Googling like low impact exercises, right? People with bad knees. There's a lot of people who have issues with their knees. And so you might want to get you some bands, right? So you can do some exercises. And so don't approach it with the mindset of like, I have bad knees, so I can't do anything, right? Fight to find a way to make it happen. Like you can do core. You can get a great where you can do planks. You can do you can still do a lot of things even though you have like issues with your knees. Okay. Recommendations on collagen and sea moss. I actually don't, Regina. I know that like sea moss is a big thing right now. I've been seeing a lot of people posting about sea moss. All of those things are supplemental, right? No matter what, you guys, you have to go back to the basics of fruits, vegetables, and exercise. Like you can't beat that. Like there's no beating that, and there's no shortcut. I just did a live in my own group about not skipping the journey. And so those supplemental things, you want to take collagen, that's great. If you want to do sea moss, I don't see anything wrong with it. Like it's not gonna hurt you, but make sure that you really lean into the journey of you building the habits and the mindset that you need to get to where you're going. Because if you skip the journey or try to like skirt around it or take shortcuts, the journey is important because it helps you develop who you need to be to maintain at the destination, right? You want to be able to develop the self-discipline, have the habits, set the boundaries, like, and the journey equips you for that, to figure out, well, what works and what doesn't, right? So you can have the CMOS, do the collagen, but make sure that you're doing the main things first and then implementing those supplemental things. They should say any recommendations. Oh, yeah, I got you. I don't even think I read it. I read it wrong, but then I read it right. All right. All right. So, any other questions, you guys? This was a long live. And I know I already knew it was going to be long because I had a lot to say. But do not forget your mindset, y'all. Don't forget your mindset and addressing self-sabotaging behaviors as a foundation for your weight loss journey. Okay, so if y'all have questions, if y'all have more questions as I hop off, let me know. I'm going to go through the chat and see if I can answer any questions that I might have missed. But Again, if you are in the group, you want to go to the events tab, check out the past lives that I have done. I have done multiple lives on all topics ranging from fitness, nutrition, um, mindset. And so, yeah, if you have questions, y'all let me know. Don't skip the journey. It's powerful. Yes, yes, Regina, you cannot skip the journey. So, thank y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.